Hey, welcome to It's a Small Business Show. This is Kevin Gammy. Sorry we're a minute late. It is all my fault. I've been out seeing some clients and having an awesome time. I had to have a business meeting that was very, very important with them. And today I've got Jackie Strawn with me, which I'm really excited about. How are you today, Jackie?
I'm fabulous, Kevin. Not in
You're
quite a rush.
excited about this show, aren't you?
I am pretty. This is my first Facebook Live, so.
And she was all nervous. And when I literally walked in the door at 3 minutes to 1, made Jackie even a little bit more nervous. I'm going to apologise for causing a little bit of extra stress there, but we'll do fine. So today you're going to talk about people helping people communicate better, and particularly with the whole great work from home migration. It seems like we're, the migration of the wildebeest almost, and all of a sudden we need to communicate in a way that we haven't, under work conditions that we're not used to. You've got all different types of personalities. Some are loving it, some are watching Netflix, others are just staring and deer in the headlight. How do you manage this sort of thing?
Oh, look, and especially at the moment, Kevin, with, people are really hurting. Businesses are financially hurting. The people behind the businesses, which many of you are watching, are probably financially hurting. There's confusion, uncertainty, overwhelm. There's people working from home, some working in the workplace still, doing less out. Like it's as they keep saying, it's unprecedented, and we're all trying to do the best we can within the fair work rules and within the tools that we have. So
you've got 5 red hot tips to help people communicate better, yeah?
I do. It's really about engaging today. I want to talk about engaging, employee engagement. And first of all, what on earth is this employee engagement? So if you think about it as the emotional commitment that the employee has to the organization and the goals that you're trying to achieve with your organization. So a more engaged employee is one who cares. When they're more engaged, they're more likely to give you discretionary effort, and that discretionary effort is the goal that we're always looking for when it comes to performance. So do you want me to jump into the 5?
Not yet. We got time. Let's find out a little bit more about what makes you an expert in this field. Now, I actually read somewhere along the line that an engaged employee is something like 400% more productive than a non-engaged employee. And from my old recruitment background, now we're going back a few years here, I am as old as Methuselah. So look, we are going back a couple of years here, but there was a study done by Seek back in the day where they determined that less than 20% of the workforce were actually fully engaged in their job.
The stats are frightening, and every article you read about it has a different stat. So that's one thing. But they're all singing the same.
It doesn't matter what you say; it's always right.
Yep, it's just always so much disengagement. It's not funny. Whether you're looking at any country in the world, basically, and Australia's stats are not good. Not quite as bad as, not quite as many challenges as America, but we're never good on the table, on the engagement table.
We don't need to compare ourselves to anyone else. We've only got ourselves to win, to beat. So let's be better than we were last week. That's always my motto. Jackie, can you just share your screen so that we can jump into your slides? Because I know you're really dying to do that.
Sorry, I didn't make slides. I didn't realize I had to.
You said you want to jump into the slides. Sorry, I got confused.
No, I didn't. I don't
want you to make slides because I think you're far more engaging than a few words on the screen anyway.
Exactly.
So we got 5 tips, right?
Yep. And we have 5.
What's the first one?
Okay. The first one is communicate. And when you feel like you are getting sick to death of the sound of your own voice, then you know you are communicating enough. You need to communicate transparently with your staff at the moment. And it's really about keeping them informed and controlling the narrative. Because if there's a gap and there's uncertainty with from your employees' points of view, something else will fill that gap. And that might be Facebook or misinformation that's out there. So you need to communicate transparently.
And generally in times of uncertainty, the one thing I can promise you that people will put in that gap is fear.
Yep, right? Absolutely.
And fear and anxiety will reign, and that's not when we're at our most productive. So, yep. Absolutely. So communicate. Talk till you're sick of the sound of your own voice. I think I must be doing a pretty good job with Brisbane Small Business then.
And using a positive tone. And I mean, even if you're sending an email, it can be as simple as that, an email out to all of your staff. And when I say transparently, I mean, even if you don't know yet, you know, there's been lots of times where employers haven't exactly known what's happening next or what's happening at the moment. So it's about being real and connecting with your employees on that level. The positive tone, advising them of new information that's come to light or that might interest them, and giving them that sense of certainty that you have their backs, that you're going to be communicating regularly and more frequently as new information comes to light. Yep.
Fantastic. So that's point one, communicate. Okay, communicate until you're sick of communicating, and even until you're sick of saying the word communicating. So what's next?
Okay, the next one is more about communication coming back to you. So it's about you making sure you're looking out for the signs that your team are struggling. So at the moment, emotional wellness, mental health, that's so huge in your staff. You want to, when everything comes back together and continue, you know, our new normal, we want to have an engaged team. We don't want to have a disconnected team, people who are looking for work elsewhere. We want them to be highly productive and highly engaged. So looking out for the signs that your team may be struggling. So that's about, as I said, the communication coming back to you. You need to be checking in on them regularly as the situation unfolds. So ideally, whatever method you might use to check in on your staff is the best, you know, is right for you. But make sure you're sending out with those emails, asking them to give you feedback on how they're going. A more structured way would be to send out, say, a staff check-in survey, which I can tell you a bit more about later, but checking on their wellness. And you can also use that opportunity to get information back on things around business continuity. You know, do they have the right tools to be even productive at home? What's getting in their way of being productive at the moment and being fully engaged in what they're doing?
Cool. So the one is listen, and I'm guessing what you're saying is it's that listen for the non-verbal cues. You know, is there a big delay from when you send a message out, or you know, and reading between the lines. If it's been written, you don't have to try and imagine the worst, but you need to go, hey, is what they're saying completely what they're meaning? And as you're saying, just keep checking in, you know, making sure that they know that you care.
Yep, that's it. Yep, and getting that feedback back.
Awesome. Yep. So point three, what's point three?
Okay, I highly recommend as business owners with staff, you create as much structure and routine as you can. There's a lot of research on that we do perform better when we create more structure and have more routines and habits, positive habits, obviously. But make sure you're giving them as much clarity around what your expectations of them are, as far as you might have morning check-ins at certain times and stick to those structured times. You might have on the Friday afternoon, you might used to have the Friday afternoon drinks or something, have it over Zoom. Like try and keep any structure and routines that you used to have as much as possible now. But in the absence of those, create other structure and routines that they can sort of hang their emotions on. They know what's next. They know what's coming.
Cool. So keep things as absolutely normal as possible as you can. Let people know what's coming up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got communicate until you're tired of your own voice. We've got listen and listen to the feedback and the non-verbal or non-written feedback that you're getting, and keep checking in and making sure that they know that you care. And then make sure that you're keeping as much structure to be as normal as possible, so that they will still feel that they're exactly in the workplace just like they were before they left the workplace.
Yeah, and they'll see we're all in this together. Everyone's abiding by those structures and routines that you are setting for them.
Absolutely. So great. So once we're communicating, listening, got our structure, what else do we have to do?
Okay. Even outside of a pandemic situation, recognition is one of the biggest drivers of engagement or barriers to it. And the key reason that employees might stay or leave is often how much they're feeling recognized or acknowledged. So at this time especially, neglecting recognition and acknowledgement is going to drastically affect the levels of engagement. So given these events, it's easy to push that aside and think, oh God, I haven't got time to be saying thank you, or, or doing any other grander gestures. But I'm here to tell you that what actually gets, and you might have heard this, what actually gets recognized gets repeated. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that saying, but especially when you make it public.
No, I like it.
Yeah, what you recognize in people, you'll find if you positively recognize them for that, they'll tend to repeat it. So it's starting to sound a little bit like parenting, actually. Parenting your child. Recognize them for the positives, and that's what will be repeated. So recognition can take, the way you go about that can take many different forms. But as little as, a thank you, and if you feel the employee wouldn't mind it, making that public in some way as well during the Zoom calls or when people are in the office. It just increases more trust and also that transparency, amplifying it to others.
Absolutely. And make sure that when you are praising someone or when you're thanking them or recognizing them, try and do that as public as often as possible. Yeah.
Remember though, some people don't, they're such introverts and they really don't like it. So do keep that in mind before you, in deciding which way you will recognize somebody. Just keep that one in mind before you jump to treating everyone the same way.
Thank you for that.
That's all right. Do you want number 5?
I was guilty of maybe that. Number 5, yes, I do want number 5. We're going to finish on number 5, but we'll still have a little bit to chat about. So number 5, what is it?
Okay, mental health, mental health, mental health. As employers, you are definitely going to positively impact the levels of engagement in your staff, the more support you show for their mental health. So there's a lot of data out there confirming that COVID-19 is not just an infectious disease issue, it's actually a mental health issue. And possibly, a lot of people are using the word crisis. I personally try to stay away from that word. But so creating a culture of caring during these times of uncertainty is really going to help maintain that engagement. So, that's showing support for exercise, family time, eating healthy, switching off even. I think a lot of people working from home, I'm guilty of it, will tend to still work over the weekends. You start losing track of Monday to Friday. So encouraging people to switch off. There's things like mindfulness, meditation, yoga. So at the very least, even in those communications with staff, putting in something about, really encouraging you guys to blah, 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 blah. At the other end, there's businesses who are actually going all out with wellness programs at this time that are being managed remotely. So work out your business.
Absolutely. Mental health is absolutely critical. I must have known that you were going to talk about this because I even asked hey, are you okay today? And I was absolutely dead serious about that. If somebody is struggling and they do want somebody to reach out with, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will get back to you as fast as I possibly can. Very, very serious about that. It's not just a lip service gesture, absolutely critical about that. In fact, that's a really awesome segue, because we have created, and for Friday afternoons, I'm doing a show with Adam Chant and Nathan Shocker called Raw and Raw, because a lot of business owners right now are feeling a little bit raw, and we want them to be able to raw because they're celebrating the success of their business. So this week, we even have a mental health expert on it, Leanne Butterworth, who has just got an awesome approach to this. So it's really, really important. That's one of the ways that Brisbane Small Business is trying to look after the mental health of everyone, is that every Friday afternoon, we're going to have a show, Raw and Raw. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about stuff, lots of different stuff, but it's really about helping people unwind, find out what others are up to. We're even going to have a little success story every week about how someone's turned it around for them. So hints and tips and that sort of stuff. We'll have a bit of fun. We'll get some experts on the show that are smarter than all of us. And although Nathan and Adam are pretty smart guys. So yeah, mental health, really, really, really important. And if you haven't got your own mental health expert, then come onto our Raw and Raw show, have a watch, and we will try and have a bit of fun while we're also talking about some serious issues. So one more time, we want to go over these again. We start with communication, yeah?
Yep, communicating out to your employees.
And then we've got to
bringing it back in, information coming back to us.
Great. We need to try and keep things as routine or as structured as possible without being Nazis about it. And one of the real beauties, I reckon, that's come about from this work from home migration is that it's forcing managers not to work by not to measure by the hours you work, but by the output that you create. And that is awesome. That is a fantastic byproduct of this. We should be grateful just for that.
And interesting, because for the number of articles you'll find about creating the positives, creating routine and structure, you'll also find pretty much the same number of articles out there around create as much flexibility and autonomy for your employees. So it's that trade-off, creating the basic structures about, okay, these meetings are happening at these times, but outside that structure, let them deliver the outcomes for you and do all these other things to keep them engaged, and you'll get a much better outcome.
Structured flexibility, that's an interesting thing to think about. But I get what you're saying. Hey, look, there's even this great little I'm not sure whether it's a TED talk or something, but why you should make your bed every morning, and it's this army dude. If you haven't watched Why You Should Make Your Bed in the Morning, go and watch Why You Should Make Your Bed in the Morning. It's really quite cool. After we're having our structured flexibility and obviously spontaneity in that, what else have we got to do?
Recognize and acknowledge your staff. Yep. Recognize what they're doing, the effort they're putting in. Even if you don't maybe feel, you might feel you're fine. This is all fine. But I can bet you not all your staff feel the same way. So recognition goes a long way at any time, but especially now.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take long.
And apparently you've got to do it in a manner that they'll appreciate, not just in the way that you're used to.
Well, exactly. Everybody's different. Some might just be so embarrassed being publicly thanked, whereas others want to be out there in the spotlight. They want it. And not being thanked in that way, they'll feel like it's quite a small thank you, so.
Absolutely. And remember about mental health. If you remember to look after yourself. The very basis of your own mental health, the very first step that everyone needs to think about. We all talk about kindness, right? And we all talk about mindfulness. The very first person you have to be kind to is yourself, right? if you've made a mistake, that's not the end of the world. And if it is the end of the world, it doesn't matter because nobody's around anyway, right? So it's never the end of the world.
And fit your own oxygen mask first. If you fall apart, then, you need to stay resilient yourself.
Apparently you need to do that. So put your own oxygen mask on. Let's listen to our hostesses, even though we can't get on a plane and go anywhere. Still not for some time yet. Look, I really love that. Communicate, listen, structure and routine, recognition, and mental health. I want to thank you very much for your time today, Jackie. Sorry for stressing you out.
No, that's all right.
I got to say, for someone who was saying to me as we were getting everything ready in the 3 seconds we were, oh my God, what are you doing, Jenny Kevin? You have done an amazing job. You really have. You're a natural.
Oh, good.
One last little thing that that Brisbane Small Business is doing. We are going to petition Parliament this afternoon. Really exciting stuff. The state government have accidentally forgotten small business. I don't know how you accidentally forget 44% of your working population, but they have. Basically, they've stopped all the advanced Queensland grants. They're not following suit from Victoria and New South Wales and giving COVID-19 grants to those that are affected. We're putting a petition to Parliament to get off your bums and go and do that, right? I'm not saying they're not doing a hard job. I'm not saying that they're not trying really hard. And I'm not saying they're bad people. They're good people. They're trying the best and they're trying to solve the problems the best way they can, and they're listening to advisors. Unfortunately, the people that they forgot to listen to were small business owners. Because we only have on average 2.2 people per business and a payroll of, and a total income of only 286,000, it's easy to overlook that on an individual basis. But it is 44% of the working population. That's 44% of the families of Queensland have not got any support from the Queensland government in relation to help with COVID-19, even though they're struggling. So that's what I'm petitioning Parliament about, to get them to reopen immediately all of the advanced Queenslands to help that are specifically targeted at small business so that we can get money into the small business economy straight away. Not when the recovery is happening, but now, so that you can work on your business with a safety net and you can come out of this with your business in better shape. That's what I'm passionate about. That's why I'm doing so many of these shows. That's what I want all of our members to be doing, more business with each other so that we're all supporting each other. I'm sorry to keep getting on this soapbox, but I'm not going to get off it, okay? I want us to be helping each other, to be working with each other, and I'm trying to make it easy to do so. So please, as soon as we get this petition in, as soon as we start sharing it, please sign and share, sign and share. That's all I want you to do, sign it and share it so that we can get the government to actually send funding to small business, not to medium-sized. They were thinking about giving Virgin $200 million to save 13,000 jobs. And yet last year, under the Advanced Queensland thing, they're beating their chest about giving out $6.2 million to 45% of the working population of Queensland. There's a little bit of inconsistency here. We're going to be going hard on that because nobody else is for us. Okay, so please, everyone, jump on. If you want to help me do it, the best way to help me do it is sign and share, but also jump into the directory so that people see that we are together as one in this, okay? I can't help but ask you for more support so that you can help work with each other more easily. So I hope I didn't steal your show. Communicate, listen, structure and routine, recognition, and mental health. Jackie, I want to say thank you very much. It was really, really informative. I loved it. I've learned something again, as I do every single time I do one of these shows. People can see it all over my face. I get a bit embarrassed from time to time.
No problem.
Thanks very much. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the preparation that you put into this. Jackie's actually going to have a cheat sheet all about this.
I will.
and you're going to share that to the comments in the comments below. And we're going to talk to you about how you can share it a lot more regularly and basically be consistent about that. And we're going to give you a routine around that ourselves. Don't jump away. We're going to say goodbye to everyone else, but I'm going to have a chat with you about that right now. See you, everybody.
Okay.